Hi, everyone. I hope that you're all doing well. So today's going to be the first lecture that I'll be posting on the course page. And this is going to be really about mindfulness and what mindfulness is. So a lot of times people will say that word, or they'll use that word in a sense, be mindful of, the things that are happening around you, be mindful of your behavior, of others' behaviors. So it's going, now we want to look at mindfulness in a sense of how can it help you build more resilience, deal with stressful situations, and just become more comfortable in your own skin. I think that's really kind of the key piece about mindfulness is what you want it to do is to help you really feel comfortable in your own skin, that you're able to really, connect with yourself in a way that maybe you haven't before. So let's kind of give a definition of what mindfulness is. So it's going to be the awareness that emerges through paying attention on purpose. So it's going to be very intentional. You're going to be in the present moment and you're going to be non-judgmental to things as they are, meaning you're not going to judge the way that you feel about something. You're not going to judge the way an event occurred. You're just going to accept it for what it is. And you're going to pay attention to the feelings and the thoughts that really come as a result of you reflecting on that. So we're going to be really paying attention to things as they really are, and really in that given moment, and not what we want them to be, right? So we don't want to try to change them and try to begin working around them. We just want to accept things for where they are or what they are at that moment for you at that time. So that's going to be that really key piece for mindfulness. So a reason why we want to do this is we're going to discover how to live more in the present moment and have that be an enjoyable experience for us rather than trying to worry about what's going to happen, down the line, maybe what happened before. It's really about us being able to really live in that moment and really enjoy that moment. Even if it might feel uncomfortable, it might be a good feeling, an exciting feeling, a sad feeling. It's that you really are enjoying the different experiences that you're having, and the fact that you are able to experience some of these things. So it's really going to be about awareness and paying attention, and also kind of really looking inward at yourself. So one of the key things that again we want to do is we want to start paying attention. We want to be attentive to whatever it is that we're looking at, right? So we want to understand the feelings that are coming with it. We want to understand the thoughts that are coming with it. And we want to just pay attention to what those are, and not necessarily try to, again, not change them or alter them, but just pay attention and be aware. And then that's really part of that present moment. So the reality of being in the here and now means you just need to be aware that that's the way things are now, and that your experience is valid and it's correct just as it is, right? So don't beat yourself up for feeling a certain way or for feeling like you have to look at things differently. You just accept it for what it is for you at that time. And how you kind of begin to do that is you become non-reactive to those things. So normally when you experience something, you kind of react to that experience. And that's really based off of, prior experiences that you had growing up, maybe things that have happened to you in the past. So you're kind of conditioned to respond in a certain way. So mindfulness is going to help you kind of look at that and say, rather than trying to react to the experience, I'm going to react to the thoughts that come because of the experience, right? So the response is going to be a deliberate and kind of, definitely focused action. You want to say, this is what I think when these things happen. And why is that? It could be because of things that have happened in the past. It could be a totally new experience for you. It could be an experience that you don't maybe enjoy. So, as opposed to getting caught up in the emotional aspect of it, we want to look at what are the thoughts that come when I have an experience like this, right? I'm going to take it for what it is right now. So, again, we're going to start breaking these things down, these experiences that are happening. So, we often want to judge an experience as whether we something that is good or bad, or something that we either like or dislike. Um, we often want to kind of create emotions as a result of those experiences. So like, I want to feel happy about this. I don't want to feel afraid. I don't want to be sad, right? So we often will try to judge our own feelings, and and we can either make them valid or invalid. So what we want to do is we want to say, okay, this is what I can do to kind of really accept this experience and really try to just live in that moment of what it is and not judging myself for thinking or feeling a certain way. So when you let go of these judgments, it's going to help you see things as they are. And, rather than trying to filter them through these personal judgments that you may have, and that's really, again, it's based off of kind of how you're conditioned to respond to certain things. So you want to be open-hearted to all the things that are happening to you, right? You want to have when you have that open-heartedness and that non-judgmental approach, again, it helps you just examine and really see the situation in a different way that maybe you wouldn't have done before. So is mindfulness thinking about nothing? No, no, that's not what we're trying to do. Mindfulness is going to be paying attention in a systemic way. And you can choose to focus on, whatever situation that you want to look at, right? So that's going to be bringing about awareness of your thoughts. And when you listen to your thoughts, you're going to discover patterns that maybe you didn't notice before. So when you have your thoughts and you can examine them in a way, you can say, maybe if I thought of it in a different way, after you have that mindfulness or that self, reflection, you can see that how your thoughts really have a huge impact on your emotional response and the decisions that you make. So when we pay attention to those thoughts and those thought patterns, it's going to be very important for us to help us understand ourselves a little bit more. So when we think about meditation, is it something for relaxation? It's not necessarily, mindfulness isn't necessarily there to make you feel relaxed. When we try to relax, and I'm sure that if anyone's ever tried to do this, it kind of can bring up more stress. It kind of can create more anxiety. I know for me personally, if I want to sleep and I think about I want to fall asleep, I actually end up staying up longer because I'm putting so much energy into trying to fall asleep that it just doesn't work. I end up, creating more problems for myself, right? So really the mindfulness is going to be accepting your moment by moment experience. So if you're tense, mindfulness is going to be just being aware of that tension. Where do you feel that tension? Is it in your body? Is it in your, different parts of your body? Some people may feel it in their chest. Some people may feel it in their hands, headaches, different things like that. So where do you feel that tension? How does how does it affect you? And also, what is your response to that tension? So when you have that tension, what kind of thoughts come as a result of this, right? And so when we begin to do that, we often begin to relax in a different way, but it's not necessarily the aim of, mindfulness. What we want to do is we want to say, what am I experiencing at this moment? And that's how we do that. So you can have informal mindfulness or meditation. That's when you focus your mind to whichever activity you're doing during the day. So brushing your teeth, cooking and cleaning. Usually often we are so just kind of, go on a automatic in a way. So that is a sense of informal meditation. And then so formal meditation would be when you take time out of your day to complete meditation practice. So that could be yoga, that could be being mindful with, your breathing, drawing, coloring, playing music, whatever it is that helps you really kind of, formally, meditate and, kind of lose yourself in that meditation, right? And so that could be where you have that formal meditation where you actually actively take time out to do those things. So when we think about the benefits of mindfulness, what we want to see is we want to say, okay, well, what can it do to actually help me? Like, what's the point of it? Well, we know that it will help battle depression. It will help battle anxiety. It can reduce stress levels. It can reduce physical pain. It can improve sleep and also increase dopamine levels in the brain. So these are things that, through research, we've been able to see that there is an impact that when we practice mindfulness, we do see effects, not in just our mental health, but our physical bodies as well. So how does it improve our mental health when we think about mindfulness? Well, it kind of is the opposite of ruminative thinking, right? So when we have ruminative thinking, we have a tendency to dwell on the same thought or theme, right? So that's going to create, low moods, to kind of, persist and return. It's going to help us do the opposite of that, right? It's going to teach us to attach labels to thoughts so that we aren't just operating on our emotions. So you're experiencing an event, or, a situation, but that does not mean that you are that situation or that event, right? It's thoughts that you have in response to that event that creates, has a real impact on your emotional state. So again, we want to really stay focused on the thoughts here. It's going to teach us that thoughts are just thoughts. They're not necessarily facts, not necessarily true. If we had the truth all the time, it might make life a lot easier. But oftentimes we know that what we think is not necessarily always the truth. So again, these are just thoughts that come, into your head, and you want to identify some of the patterns that you may have, or the patterns of thinking that you may have. And it teaches us to be aware of our experience rather than judge our experience or our reaction to those experiences, right? So awareness is going to help us just know that, hey, when that happens to me, this is usually how I start thinking. And if I start thinking in that way, it's going to kind of, put me in a direction to where I don't want to go, because I've done that before and I've been doing it and it hasn't really worked out for me. So again, it's going to teach us to be aware instead of judging. And it's going to teach that self-compassion as well. And so when we're more compassionate to ourselves, when we understand ourselves better, we're going to be much more compassionate towards others. So that's going to be another key piece as well, is that, when we have that compassion, for ourselves, and we're not judging ourselves or being too hard on ourselves, it helps us be better to people around us as well. So that's really another benefit that you can see from mindfulness. So it's going to help you kind of, develop, living in a very different way. And in a sense, you're not necessarily changing yourself as a person. You're just getting to know who you are as a person and kind of accepting yourself. And that's kind of like the key thing. It's really, again, not focused on finding solutions to the problems. It's focused on acceptance. So if you suffer from anxiety, it's going to show you how to accept the feeling of anxiety rather than denying or fighting the feeling. Because if we're anxious and we're trying to fight it, oftentimes it doesn't work out. But if we say to ourselves, this is what anxiety feels like for me, and this is maybe the thoughts that happen as a result of that anxiety. When you accept it, you become less fearful of it. And when you're less fearful of it, when it does happen, it's not going to affect you as much. And that's essentially going to be, again, not the goal of finding a solution, but when you have that awareness and that self reflection with yourself, it doesn't become as scary anymore. So through this approach, natural change is going to come about. So there's a saying that, what you resist persists, right? And so again, it's not trying to fight that feeling, fight that anxiety. What mindfulness is going to do is going to help you accept it. And when you accept it, you can then transform it. And so that's really a key piece there. So we want to practice mindfulness in a way that's going to help us to maintain attention to internal and internal experiences in a non-judgmental state, where we want to create acceptance, curiosity, and openness about the things that we are thinking. So mindfulness is going to heighten our body awareness. So if we have an external stimulus, like an experience that triggers an emotional reaction, our system is going to kind of, detect some kind of conflict. And that's where we have, maybe some of the anxiety that we feel, or, the racing heart, or, all these different things that happen. So heightened body awareness is going to help us detect the physiological aspects of the feelings, all these different things that we may have, rapid heartbeat, short breath, different things like that. And that's going to trigger emotional regulation. And it's going to help us to process it in a way to where we're going to respond to that experience differently than we normally would. And so we're going to break harmful thinking patterns. That's really going to kind of be the key piece. I guess if there's a purpose to mindfulness, is we want to break harmful thinking patterns, because those things can lead to depression and, other mental health issues. And so oftentimes those are the things that we want to not have, in our lives, in a severe or in a manner to where it impacts, your ability to go to work or maintain relationships with others or different things like that. So there's a lot of research that we do have, and that we have, for us about mindfulness and kind of the benefits of it. And we're going to have, some of those supplemental resources are going to be available for you in the Canvas webpage. So definitely look at some of those studies and look at some of the research that's been done on mindfulness, and you can kind of see why this is really a valid approach. And it's something that, has been in existence for a very long time. And so because of that, there's a lot of research around it. And we do see generally positive, effects or after effects of it. So we want to overcome these challenges. Some issues can be the attitude, going into the mindfulness approach or the meditation practice. So don't feel like you have to do it perfectly. Don't feel like you have to try very hard. You just have to stay focused on, really just getting to know yourself better. And that's really going to be the key thing, and there's no one way to do that. Everybody's going to be different, right? So, what you can do is, maybe my mind is going to wander. I'll accept that. It's okay if I start thinking of other things. Maybe that's what I need to focus on. Again, you're focusing on yourself and your thoughts at that moment. So don't try to fight those thoughts. Don't try to say, "Oh, I can't do it." Just bring your attention back to its original destination. And again, when you're aware, if that's the kind of person that you are, because I know that I am, it's very hard for me to really meditate and kind of, go into a place where my mind is not going to start thinking about 100 different things at once. So as long as I know that about myself, I can give reminders to myself to stay on track and have an approach to where I don't beat myself up, about not being able to stay focused. So that's going to be another key piece as well. So you can't decide to focus and then, say, okay, now I'm going to be 100% focused on something and I'm going to figure it all out. It's going to take time, and especially if it's something that's very new or something, again, if you're someone like myself, where it is very hard to kind of, calm the brain down and not thinking about 100 different things. Think of it as, maybe going to the gym and, trying to lose weight or build muscle or whatever your goal is. You don't just go to the gym one time and all of a sudden everything's done, right? You have to build that habit. First of all, have to get a habit of going to the gym. And, if you want to, whatever your goal may be, whether it be gaining muscle or losing weight or whatever it may be, that you're going to have to take some time and you're going to see the results slowly, right? So again, this is going to be kind of very much like that same approach. You're going to see results slowly over time. And as you continue to do it and become, engage in it more often, you're going to be better at it. And that muscle memory that you get, I guess, when you go to the gym, that acquires over time, you're going to have that kind of same muscle memory with mindfulness, because you're going to be able to do it much more easily because you have taken the time to really look at, and examine and practice it in a way to where it's going to become much more natural to you. So there's a lot of different things that, you can do in terms of mindfulness, breathing, walking, eating, yoga, exercise, reading a book, drawing, whatever it is that you may be, playing an instrument if you do that. So again, you have all of those things that you can do to help you kind of start on that path. And, there might be times where you want to engage in different activities at different times. So that's going to be another key piece as well. So one of the things that, I guess 3 key things that you want to think about when we think about mindfulness is, you want to acknowledge, again, bringing yourself to that moment, and you kind of, even with your posture, really sitting and saying, okay, this is what I'm acknowledging right now. What's going on with me at this moment right now? What thoughts, body sensations, feelings am I experiencing at this moment, right? So you want to say that, when I get angry or I feel this anger, my stomach becomes tense. You want to start identifying those things. And so what that does is it draws away your attention from feeling anger to what's happening to your body. And now you see the effects. So again, even though you are not trying to change it, you're acknowledging what it's doing, right? And that's the key piece. So then you want to use that acknowledgement to gather information. You want to gently, bring your full attention to your breathing. You want to experience, a deep breath in and out to see how that changes or doesn't change the tense feeling you may have in your stomach. You want to let the brain, you want to let the breathing function as an anchor, to bring yourself into the present and to help you tune into a state of awareness and stillness, right? So again, it serves a purpose. It's going to anchor you. And, in a lot of ways, when you do practice that breathing, if you do it in the right way, you do have to, change your body, posture. You have to really be aware, and, you have to feel it, all the way, going in through your nose, down to your stomach and back out again. So you have to really pay attention to it. And it does make you change your posture. It does make you be much more aware. And then again, it's at that acceptance that you're getting. And then you want to expand. You want to expand your awareness around the breathing to the whole body and the space it takes up. So really, if you find any some of these sensations that you are feeling uncomfortable with, or they might even be heightened now, because now you're kind of like, oh my gosh, I'm paying attention to the tension in my stomach. You just accept that and you say, okay, this is what happens to me. You want to continue that breathing, so it allows a sense of softening, opening, letting go. So again, you can say to yourself, it's okay to feel whatever I'm feeling. I want to acknowledge everything that's happening. And then again, you bring that awareness with you as you go on through your day, or the night, or whatever may be the next day. So again, this is really kind of the key piece of mindfulness. So really what mindfulness is going to help us do is it's going to help us get to know ourselves a little bit better. And oftentimes you may say, well, I know myself pretty well, but then, you may not know why you are the way you are, right? So again, it's looking at the why. What is it? What are the thought patterns? What are the things that have happened to me, or have been done to me, that puts me in this state of mind? So that's really what mindfulness is going to be. So I'm really excited to see what discussions you all will have as a result of this module on mindfulness, and I hope that it was something that was helpful for you. Have a good rest of your day or night or evening, or whatever time you're watching this.